Today we are going to start first chapter of AngularJS. Here we will see what is AngularJS and how AngularJS works. Which software required to execute our AngularJS program. So we will see all this part in introduction. So first, AngularJS is a JavaScript framework. Do you know what is JavaScript? Yes, everyone. JavaScript. Unmute yourself.
What, ma'am?
Yes,
What is JavaScript? Do you know what is JavaScript?
it is a
But
Scripting
here
language.
in AngularJS, we are going to use JavaScript concepts. So
yes,
you should know what is JavaScript.
it is a scripting language which is used with HTML.
JavaScript is an object-oriented script language.
Hmm. Can we execute directly this language
No, ma'am, with the help of HTML.
with the help of HTML? We HTML is used to create a static web pages. If you want to make it dynamic, that time we can include JavaScript into this. This is script language which is able to create web pages into static web pages to dynamic pages. So we can include JavaScript script language into HTML to create normal static HTML to dynamic. So here we are using JavaScript framework, means not a scripting, it is not a scripting language. Here we are using framework which is used to build a web application. This framework is used to build a web application. Who has developed this? Google. Google has developed AngularJS, started development in 2009. It is open source project. What is open source? Open source project means
Anyone can use, means no money has
anyone
been charged.
can download, use and modify also. Open source project means it can be downloaded, used and changed by anyone as per the requirement. It is allowed to download. AngularJS is provides an excellent platform for creating single page application. Means only one page will be there. You will see multiple functionalities on that page. And you will find also there are multiple pages, but actually it is a single page application. Only internal structure is changing or data is changing as per the requirement. Example, Gmail. Only internal data is going to change, outer part will be same. So it is called as a single page application. Another example is Facebook. So AngularJS provides an excellent platform for creating single page application. Remember this, this is most important part of AngularJS. It is used to create single page application. It is client-side JavaScript MVC framework. What is means by client-side and server-side? AngularJS is a client-side JavaScript MVC framework. You will learn about MVC in next slides. But here my question is, what is client-side JavaScript?
Client-side JavaScript means first the computer will load the JavaScript code and then execute in the client's computer.
Okay, client-side means here we are executing the code at browser only. In the
Browser.
browser, we are not passing the query to server side. So AngularJS is a client-side JavaScript MVC framework to develop a dynamic web page application. It was originally started as a project in Google, but now it is open source framework. Now it is available to everyone. User can make changes into the framework as per his requirement. AngularJS is entirely based on HTML and JavaScript. So you should know what is HTML and what is JavaScript. What are the attributes? What are the tags we are using in HTML? All these you should familiar with these two languages. So already these two languages are means you are familiar with these two languages, so it is easy to understand AngularJS. No need to learn another syntax or language here. AngularJS changes static HTML to dynamic HTML. Normal HTML, static means which data does not change at runtime. That is called as a static HTML. This HTML, static HTML, we are going to convert into the dynamic HTML. Means at runtime, when user do some action, according to his action, page content will change. That is called as a dynamic HTML. It extends the ability of HTML by adding built-in attributes. Here in AngularJS, they are having some built-in attributes that will be added here into HTML, and components are also added. Also provide an ability to create custom attributes. Here we can create custom attributes using simple JavaScript. Under AngularJS, they are extending the capability of HTML by adding some built-in attributes, components, and also they are providing ability to create custom attributes. Means we can create our own attribute also under AngularJS. Life cycle of AngularJS. How program AngularJS program works. That is described here. It has three phases. First is bootstrap, second compilation, and third is runtime. What is bootstrap? Bootstrap means here we are loading everything required, means whatever components are required for executing AngularJS program, that will be loaded into browser at this step. Then here we will compile the things, what logic you have written, that we are going to compile with the help of a runtime as well as bootstrap. In bootstrap, we are actually using the variables, JavaScript variables. And here at runtime, all classes are available. All required classes which are available in AngularJS to execute AngularJS program are stored at this level. So at the time of compilation, it takes help of runtime also as well as bootstrap also. So here you can see this picture. You can take a screenshot of this picture. This is the life cycle of AngularJS program. We will see all these three steps in detail in next slide. You can take screenshot of this picture. Initially, it will be little bit difficult to understand the flow, but when you will start the programming, that time you will understand what is DOM, what is ng app. These are the new things under AngularJS. So you will understand all these things in program. So initially just go through it, go through the theory part, but when you will go to actual program part, automatically you will understand the things. Done with this? Have you taken a screenshot?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So first step is bootstrap phase. This is the first stage of life cycle of AngularJS. So it occurs when AngularJS JavaScript library is downloaded to the browser. Means at browser level, when we are going to execute the AngularJS program, that time first step is download the JavaScript library to the browser. So this will occur at bootstrap phase. Then AngularJS initializes its own necessary components. Whatever required things are there, it will initialize that. It will initialize the required components into the browser. Then initializes your module. Module will be your first page, means whatever data variables or variables, JavaScript variables you are used here in your program, that will be initialized at bootstrap phase, which the ng app directives point to. You will learn about this in program part. The module is loaded and any dependencies are injected into your module and made available to the code within the module. Means here actually in the browser your module is loaded, means data part is loaded, whatever required part is there for your program, that dependencies are also injected into your module and it is made available to the user for execution. So this is the first phase. Remember here, JavaScript library is downloaded to the browser, and the required thing is initialized to your variables. Required components are initialized. Required variables are initialized here. So initialization stage is this bootstrap phase. Then second is compilation phase. This is the second phase of AngularJS lifecycle. Here initially when web page is loaded, now here your web page is loaded into the browser, a static form of DOM is loaded in the browser. Static form of DOM. I have taken example of static form of DOM here. See, this is the static form of DOM. Means basic structure of your HTML. First is document, then root element, then other elements, then its attributes. These are the basic. This is the basic structure of DOM. So this structure is loaded here initially. During compilation phase only, the static DOM is replaced with the dynamic DOM. Means here we are now initializing the variables as per the user requirement. Design part will come there. Means static DOM is there automatically in compilation phase. This phase is converts static DOM into the dynamic DOM. Whatever changes are there in the attributes in the variable, that will be initialized here and represent in the AngularJS view. Means view means this view you are going to see or user is going to see. So what logic you have written? According to that logic, your static DOM is converted into the dynamic DOM. Then this phase involves two parts. First is traversing the static DOM. We have already seen here static to dynamic we are converting, and collecting the all directives and then linking the directives to the appropriate JavaScript functionalities. Whatever directives we have included in the HTML, we are writing code under HTML only. That directives are linked to the appropriate JavaScript functionality in the AngularJS built-in library. Libraries are provided like classes. So in C, C++, stdio.h, these are the classes. So same type of libraries are available here also. So when you are using printf function, that printf function has to link with the library. Same, whatever directives we are using here, that directives has to be linked with the JavaScript built-in libraries or custom directive code. Whatever classes are available there, what logic we have written, that logic has to link with that classes. The directives are combined with the scope to produce the dynamic or live view. Scope means if variable is declared, what is the scope of that variable? Is it right or not? What code you have written, that is right or not? That will be checked here under this scope part. And last stage of life cycle is runtime. Means here we are actually going to execute your application. This is the final phase of AngularJS application, a runtime phase, which exists until the user reloads or navigate away from the web page. How many time or how much time your page will exist? This runtime page, how much time will exist till user reloads or till user will not refresh it or navigate away from the web page. Till that time your page will be displayed. At that point, any change in the scope are reflected in the view. Whatever change you will do in your logic, that will be reflected in the view part, and any changes in the view part are directly updated in the scope. We can directly change in the view part also. If you want to change the look of your site, you will change in that directive. Automatically, that will store as your scope. AngularJS behaves differently from traditional method of binding data. See how traditional method works. Traditional methods combine a template with data received from the engine. Here, in traditional method, they are combining template with the data received. What data they are receiving, that is stored with the template from the engine, and then manipulate the DOM each time the data changes. How many time data will change? That many time your DOM will change. Your structure of HTML will change. But in AngularJS compiles the DOM only once. Here, DOM will compile only one, and then it links to the compile template as necessary. So here in AngularJS, DOM will compile only one, but before in traditional method, as data changes, it will compile again and again. It will change its structure. So this is the life cycle of AngularJS. First is Bootstrap, where we are loading everything, whatever required things are there for execution of AngularJS, that will be downloaded into the browser. In compilation stage, main part is we are changing static DOM to the dynamic DOM. Actual main working of second stage is changing the static DOM to the dynamic DOM, and runtime here we are actually executing the application. So this is the life cycle of program. You will understand this life cycle while execution of your actual program. Got it? Life cycle? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Our next point is AngularJS features. What are the features of AngularJS? First feature is data binding. It is automatic synchronization of data between model and view. Model and view MVC architecture. AngularJS follows MVC architecture. In that architecture, there are first 2 points is model and view. In model, we are declaring all the variables which are used in JavaScript, and view component it is used to show your actual work to user. So data binding binds this data to your view structure. This is called as a data binding feature of AngularJS. It is automatic synchronization of data between model. Means here we are declaring variables. Here we are implementing that logic and showing the content to the user, showing the data to the user. So here binding between model and view component. Then scope. These are the objects that refer to the model. Model means here variable declaration will be there. So scope part will be available in model part only. So they act as a glue between controller and view. This scope will decide which variable we are using, what is the scope of that variable, and it glues between controller and view. Controller will contain all the logic, actual logic classes are available here. This part is only shown to the user. What is your output, that will be shown in view part. Actual logic is stored here, means all the classes available for AngularJS, that will be stored here. And this is the first model is the data part, which will display the variables, which will create the variables. So scope will decide which variable has a what scope, and accordingly it will act as a glue between controller and view, because here are the classes and here is the display scene. So how to connect these two? As according to the scope, we will connect these two parts, controller and view. Then what is controller? It is actually JavaScript functions bound to a particular scope. Is actually, you remember, for this controller it will contain all the classes, libraries required for your AngularJS program. So it will contain all the functions related to that. Services. AngularJS comes with several built-in services such as $HTTP. This is the basic service available in AngularJS. There are many services. Here I have given one example. You will learn services in next chapter when programming will start. To make the XML HTTP request, there are singleton objects which are instantiated only once in the app. This is the object which will instantiated only once in the application. So such a type of services are provided in AngularJS features. Filters. Do you know filters? Whole data is given to you. If you want to search particular data, then you will apply the filters. Same filters we can apply in AngularJS, but this was not possible in JavaScript. Here in AngularJS, we can apply filters. It was not possible previously. Directives. These are the markers on DOM elements. such as elements, attributes, CSS, and more. These are the part of directives. These can be used to create custom HTML tags that serve as a new custom widget. AngularJS has a built-in directive such as a ngbind, ngmodel. So we will see all these directives in program part. This is just a theory now. You will be confused now, but you will repeat this thing after your programming will start. Template, these are the rendered view with information. Template means actually they have given some ready-made part to you. In that part only we have to insert the information. Example of template is your PowerPoint template. They have given PowerPoint template, ready-made PowerPoint template. Just we are going to insert the data into that. This PowerPoint template is also single page application. You can see you can create, you can use same template for showing the various data. So here also in AngularJS we are going to create a single page application. So these are the rendered view with the information from the controller and model. This can be a single file or multiple views in one page using partial. Only one page will be there, but we are showing it differently. Routing, there are different views. If you want to switch between the views, then we can use routing concept. Here model view controller part is coming. This is the important part of AngularJS model MVC design. This is the pattern for dividing the application into three different parts called model, view, and controller, each with distinct responsibility. We will see each of these in next slide. What is model, what is view, and what is controller. Then deep linking, it allows to encode a state of application in the URL. In the URL, we can encode the state of application. At what state your application is, that part is encoded into the URL. That is called as a deep linking, so that it can be bookmarked. We can bookmark it. The application can be restored from URL to the same state. We can restore your application to the previous state if it is already bookmarked. Dependency injection means if one module is there and in that module some other modules are involved, then we have to inject that dependency into your module. So AngularJS has a built-in dependency injection subsystem that helps the developer to create, understand, and test the application easily. Here you have to remember, whenever modules are required, that time only that is injected into your application. Till that time it will not available to your application. When you call particular module, that time only it will inject into your application. So that feature is available in AngularJS. Automatically built-in dependency injections are there. It will automatically call the modules whenever that required. These are the features. I hope you are more confused here, but you will get more clear. You will get the clear idea about this when your programming will start. The next part is difference between JavaScript and AngularJS. JavaScript, we are using concepts of JavaScript, but there are some lacking part in JavaScript that are overcome into the AngularJS. So we have to highlight that part. JavaScript is an object-oriented scripting language, and this is the framework. AngularJS is an open source framework for creating dynamic web pages. JavaScript also used to create a dynamic web pages, but here we are creating large single page application. In single page application only we are going to develop each and everything. This user has to insert his logic in single page only. Here will be multiple pages are there, but here is a single page. It was mainly developed by Netscape Communication. JavaScript developed by Netscape Communication, and here it was developed by Google. JavaScript based on concept of dynamic typing as an interpreted language. HTML was the static. HTML is the static part. If you want to convert it into dynamic, then we are going to insert JavaScript there. So it becomes dynamic typing. Here, AngularJS is based on concept of model, view, and controller to build the application. Its syntax are complex as compared to AngularJS. JavaScript syntax are complex as compared to AngularJS, but in AngularJS, syntax are simple than JavaScript. JavaScript is complex to run. AngularJS is easy to run. It does not support filters. Here in AngularJS, it supports filters. It validates the user input at the browser level before submitting the page to the server end. Here we are going to submit the page at server end, but before that, we validate the things in JavaScript. Here AngularJS has ideal tool for any server technology. Means it is used to make an ideal tool for any server technology. And last difference is it is a full feature language used to manipulate document object model. And here in AngularJS, it extends the HTML with new attributes. Here we are adding custom attributes also in AngularJS, but that is not possible in previous technology, that is JavaScript. So these are the features of AngularJS and difference between AngularJS and JavaScript. So all these these are the this can be advantages as well as feature also. You can mention this as a feature also or advantages also. Next, advantages of AngularJS. What is advantages of AngularJS? First is it is built by Google. Google has developed it. So whenever there are updates available, automatically that updates can be updated to your AngularJS application because we are using browser. So whatever updates are available, automatically that will be available to you. Regular updates are provided by the Google. Great MVC support, model view controller support is given here. So many frameworks, a programmer has to split the code. Previously, we have to split the code into multiple MVC components. Then after everything is over, we have to combine all these part together. Means this is the job of programmer only to combine the part. But in AngularJS, this is the job of that software only. It will do automatically. AngularJS will do automatically combination of all this model view and controller. So this is the advantages of AngularJS. Before AngularJS, as a programmer, we have to combine all this part together: model, view, and control. We have to do logic for that. Open source, as we have seen, open source means we can get the code of AngularJS and we can make the changes into this. We can download it, make the changes into it. So this is the advantage of AngularJS. And comprehensive, AngularJS is a complete solution for rapid front-end development. Front-end development means, yes,
Designing part and UI graphics.
yes. First, जो user देखता है, that is called as a front-end part. Means where we design our application, that is called as a front-end part, and back-end means your database. So here it is a complete solution for a rapid front-end development. It does not need any other plugins. We don't need any other plugins to execute our AngularJS application. Reusable. It provides reusable components. Components are already stored into the AngularJS that we can use that components or classes whenever user requires. This is the most important advantage is single page application. User can develop single page application in AngularJS. Example, you know about single page. Gmail is the best example in Facebook. Disadvantages, confusion is the first disadvantage. There are multiple ways to do the same thing in AngularJS. If you have given one program, there are multiple ways to execute that program or write the logic for that program. So sometimes it can be hard for novices to say which way is better for a task. Now you are in this state because you don't know about this language. You are an OS, means you are new to this language, so you are confused here. So this is the disadvantages of AngularJS. First time when some users are coming to use this, they have given many languages. You can use this part also. They have given many syntaxes. You can use this syntax also or that syntax also. So first, as an OS user, you will be confused which part I can use now, which part I can use later. So this is the confusion part they have given. Then lagging UI. This means that the possible complexity of Angular form is limited because we are using single page application. In that single page only we have to show our logic or show our user interface. So this is the disadvantages of AngularJS because in single page only we have to show all our uh, logic or user interface. So it will be a bit confusing also where to show what part. Mostly they are showing the grid and data in grid and list view. It is not secure. Being JavaScript only framework, application written in AngularJS are not safe. Server side authentication and authorization are must to keep an application secure. Normally it is not safe. We have to show here server side authentication and authorization to make it secure. So these three are disadvantages of AngularJS. Confusion, new user doesn't understand which part is right and which part is wrong. Lagging UI because single page application is there. We have limitation to show our creativity. And not secure, it is not secure. And whatever application you are developing in AngularJS, that is not secure. Architecture of MVC, Model View Controller. It is software design pattern for developing web application in AngularJS. Whenever we are going to create any application in AngularJS, this is the architecture we have to follow. Model, view, and controller. We will see each of these. You can take screenshot of this model view and controller architecture diagram. Done?
Yes, ma'am.
What is model? Here, models are used to represent your data. Data part is there in your logic, that part is represented by in your model. A model in AngularJS is a primitive data type such as number, string, boolean, object. All data types are considered under this model part. It is the lowest level of pattern responsible for maintaining data. Along with these data types, scope is also mentioned under model part because every data type has their own size. So accordingly, they have given scope. So scope is mentioned under this model part. It is simple JavaScript object without getter and setter method. Means here we are not going to get anything from this model or set anything to any variable. Here just declaration of variables are done. Whatever initialization are going to done, that will be part of a view part, next part. So here just data types are mentioned. It is going to represent your data. These are the data types or variables here we are going to create, which are used to represent your data at view level. So this is just, it will just show primitive data types. Now view part is there. View part means your actual HTML, how it looks when you run your application. That is view part. In AngularJS, document object model is the what user see. I have shown you document object model means first document part, then HTML header, then title will be there, then attributes, objects are there. That part is called as a document object model. This means what user is going to see. That comes under view. It is responsible for displaying all or portion of the data to the user. Here we are going to show actual our logic or actual our web application to user. Views are used to represent presentation layer which is provided to the end user. In order to display the data from controller here we are going to get the classes for particular data. In order to display the data from controller, Angular expressions can be added. As we use expression %d in C to replace the value, what variable we are giving after comma, that variable value is going to replace at %d. %d is the expression. Same such a type of expressions are available here in AngularJS. So Angular expressions can be added to the view, which will coordinate model because data is mentioned in the model, and view is about your view about any modification. So here we are using expression like %d. In AngularJS, they are giving different expression to insert the value. So we are using here expression like %d to insert our data value, which will come from model to view part. Okay. And now last part is MVC. Last part is controller. Here collection of JavaScript classes are stored. Actual logic is stored here. AngularJS logic is stored in controller part, which is going to control everything of your program. It is a software code that controls the interaction between the model and view. Classes are mentioned there, so it will actually controlling the model means data part and view means what we are going to show to the user. Everything is controlled by this controller. Model resides inside this controller. Logic is written here. So what data part is required, that is stored into the model. So it is reside under this controller. User events trigger the function which are stored inside the controller. Classes are there means class means combination of data member and member functions. So model will contain data member part, and what part is remaining? Member function means actual your function that will be also stored inside this controller. When user will trigger it, when user will click on particular button, that time only that function will get called. The user events are part of the controller because controller contains classes, and classes is the combination of data member and member function. So model and user event are part of this controller. So this is the MVC architecture. How MVC work? Here we will see in diagram how MVC work. This is the diagram. You can take screenshot of this. How MVC work. Here is the user. When user enters a URL, for example, we have written there google.com. URL डाला है हमने. According to that specific URL, control goes to the server. When you will enter the google.com, that is at client side. When you press enter, it will pass to the server and calls the controller. Here is your browser. When you request google.com, then that request is passed to the server. When that request is passed to the server, it will give request to the controller first. It will call to the controller. After that, controller uses appropriate model and appropriate view. So the appropriate response will pass to the user again. That is called as a response. It's google.com. If user has entered google.com, how google.com page will look, that will be decided by this controller. Means controller has all the idea about that page. So it will check the model as well as check the view part, and if that both are available, it will give response to the same action. For the same action, it will give response here through the browser. So this is the work of MVC. How MVC work? As we have seen in previous slide, model and view are a part of controller. So controller will fire the query to the model as well as view part to get the result. When controller will get that result, it will pass to the user again. So this is the working of MVC. we will see the from here programming will start. We will see start tomorrow. Here this theory is over here for first chapter. We will see this theory, implementation of this theory in programming tomorrow. Programming is very easy when you will understand this. You will understand this previous part also. Theory part. Little bit confusion now, but you will understand it better. Okay, for today we will finish here only. Tomorrow we will see programming of AngularJS, basic program of AngularJS, how it executes, how we can write the program, what part we have to download for the execution of AngularJS. We will learn it tomorrow.